So what we're talking about today is nurture plans, turning all the leads that you have and all the leads that you're going to continue to get into loyal and long-term customers. That's the goal is I get a lead now, they may or may not be ready. And how do we stay in touch with them over time without kind of badgering them too much, but also providing value, make sure they understand what we're doing and why, and continuing to provide a touch point and an opportunity for them to, book a consultation, schedule an appointment, get additional information, whatever it may be, through that process. So that's really what we're going to focus on here today. You guys can still hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay. So why do we need a long-term nurture system? Leads go cold if we don't follow up. I mean, you could collect all the leads that you want, but if they just sit in a database or sit on a pile on your desk, they're no good to you. They're not doing anything. They're not creating any value. So how do we take those lost opportunities and turn them into revenue moving forward? And that's nurture. That's the goal of any nurture program. And this one, we're just talking long-term, but any nurture, whether it's short-term or long-term, that's the goal. And what does it do? It builds that relationship over time. And so if you think about your own inbox, your own email, you get a shit ton of emails that you never open. It's a fact. But even if you don't open it, you see the name over and over and over again. And then when you see the name on social media, or you see the name on Google, and you start to associate those things together. And even if they don't open the email, the fact that they continue to see your name, and then you text them every once in a while too, it just builds a level of trust that pays off when they're ready to make a buying decision. So that's part of the purpose. Even if they don't open your messages all the time, if they see you enough, that's helpful. Obviously, we want 30, 40% open rates. Are you going to get that? No, not always. And sometimes it's 5%, sometimes it's 45%. And it depends on the content, depends on how good your list is, all of those things. So that's kind of the purpose behind our nurture system and building these systems up. And then the TigerTek AI platform makes automating this and personalizing it really, really easy. And for those of you guys that are already on the system, there is a template built in for this already. So once we do the content creation piece of it, you can really just go in and plug it into the workflow that's already there and start utilizing it instead of having to start from scratch. But you could also use this to start from scratch if you wanted to as well. So there's a lot of steps in this. The workbook that I'm going to give you will have a checklist. If you use AI and you use like the Medusa and the Hermes GPTs that I've already got built, you don't really have to go step by step through this. It'll walk you through the process. It'll even leapfrog some of these and combine it into one step. And when I was going through this yesterday and making sure that I had everything kind of lined out, it was, the Hermes GPT gave me, the entire plan after like the first 2 questions. And I was like, okay, now I need to back up a little bit and kind of slow roll through it to make sure it had all the information. But these chatbots and the AI has so much information now that it can really shortcut so much of this for us that it come up with really good content that it's amazing. So just walking through the process real quick, clarify the problem. We already know what the problem is. We need to stay in contact with our leads, and we need to not have them drop off. Define our goals. What is the purpose of the campaign? For a nurture campaign like this, it's really to engage and to eventually convert them into long-term clients. Complete the fundamentals workbook, which is actually what we did on the last class, but I'll go through that here in a second. System requirements, just the tools that you need. Choosing what your content's going to look like, what type of content, And again, the AI is really good at helping guide that. Map it out. What does it look like? What does your plan look like from the time they first come into your database to 6 months, a year from now? What does that plan look like? And we can create all of this in minutes. We can get the entire timeline put together. Then create the content using AI, build out the campaigns, and then it really comes into monitor performance, looking at what you're getting and optimizing as you go down the road. But really, the first 5 or 6 steps within this are ones that really are going to make the biggest difference. But before we do it, before you jump right into ChatGPT, make sure that we have your business and business information and ideal client info ready. Remember we went through the ideal client avatar on the last call, and that's exactly what I'm going to be using to walk through this process. And I'll go through that real briefly, just so that we refresh everybody. But this is, again, having that foundation for how you're going to build out your nurture program moving forward is having a good idea as to what your business is, what your ideal customer looks like, and then the AI can look at that and start building out a plan based on your type of business and who your customers are. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Fantastic. All right, so pull up these. So this was the fundamentals piece that we went over last time. And I'll make sure that you have this as well. But this really is just identifying who your target customer is and allows you to create content that really connects with your avatar. So I'll make sure that you guys have all of this if you need to run through it again. But it kind of just starting out, we need to make sure we have the business information, who you are, your business information, the type of services that you provide, and where you're located. The AI is really good at creating content based on where you are, the demographics of that community. And if you have your website and your website's good, you want to make sure you provide that information as well. And then all your favorite client information in here. And you want to make sure you go through all of this and then create your table of avatars. So I'm going to walk through this. I know I talk fast, but I'm going to walk through this. So Medusa is really my assistant. She helps do research and stuff for me. So what I'm going to do is just let her know what we're doing. I can't spell. And again, she's going to prompt us when we ask these questions to provide a lot of information. And the good thing is we've got a lot of this stuff already. But when we start talking about research, she's going to ask questions to help guide you along the way. Let's see now. And then I want to provide the business information. And I would expect that you guys would provide as much detail as you can when you're doing this. I've provided very limited information for this as a remodeling company. We're doing kitchen and bath remodeling, but for your individual businesses, obviously you want to be more specific. And then again, it's going to go through and ask a bunch of really good questions. So if you're not sure, just go through and answer the questions. And if you just did this, you'd have a fantastic idea of who your ideal customers are. Let's see, so. All right, so then I'm just going to take my So this is all my background as we went over last time from my favorite client, all the information I had so that I can get my ideal client avatar. But the other thing is I want her to create 10 avatars for me and then provide it in that downloadable Excel format so that I can use it for the next step as we get into creating the campaign. So again, if you want to go through this, I can give you the example here as well so that you can look
Question.
at it. But it's really just identifying who my ideal customer is. And then she's going to go ahead and spit out these avatars that are just mind blowing.
Quick question, Jody.
Yep.
Um, how did you get the I guess the worksheet, the thing that you open up so you can make changes if you need to? How do you open it again? Canvas, I
So
think it was called Canvas.
So you can so there's Canvas, yes. Canvas is when you're interacting, and I'll show you that one here in a second. But how I just did that one is if I go here, and I'm just going to copy and paste this in, I'm not going to actually enter it. But see this little icon here? If I open that up, it allows me to edit my prompt. And then I can close it back out and then hit submit. That makes sense? Is that good? Okay. So this is, these are my 10 avatars. And again, I think every time I do this, it blows my mind as to how effective this is at creating ideal customers. But the other thing I want to do with this now is give me a way to download it. And so it also gives me the key insights, income range, 130K to 200 plus, mid to high end remodeling budgets, location, and even pulls out the cities, common pain points. Paul, these probably all resonate with you really closely as far as, the outdated, poor functionality, limited storage, unsatisfactory work from prior contractors, all those things that you hear all the time. And then their motivators, hosting family gatherings, increasing the home value. They enjoy luxury finishes. They like having a modern home, functional space, all those things. And for each of you, it would be a little bit different. But once you go through this, it's going to be able to provide that kind of level of detail for you. Now, oops. Now I want her to give me this in a downloadable. So she'll just convert it into an Excel file and I can download the Excel file. And when she does that, it essentially looks like this. And now I have a file that I can utilize. I could pull just one of these out of here if I wanted to write content or something about any one of these. I could just use one, but this gives me a file to utilize for this. She's thinking hard. Okay, and then here's the file. So I can just click on it and it'll download the file for me. And this one, so she even came up with a key motivator for each one of these avatars. So I mean, this is just really insightful stuff that you don't get unless you run through an exercise like this. And every time I think it gets a little bit better, because the key motivators these are the things that cause people to buy. The pain points are all reasons that they may call you, but the motivator is what's going to make them want to make a buying decision. So having a insight into what motivates them, it is kind of that emotional level of detail to help create good email campaigns, text messages, social media content, all of that. So this is really good stuff. All right. So we've got, now this was kind of a little bit of backtracking from the last time, but yeah, I think this was good point to go through to just make sure that we have it. And now the next thing I want to do is go into creating the nurture campaign. So I'm going to switch over here to Hermes, who's the kind of the marketing guru here as far as GPTs go. And I want to let him know what we're doing. And we talked about, the worksheet and the goal and the checklist. So this is the checklist. We've already clarified the problem. We don't really need to run through that. The goals for this particular one, it's probably going to be to set revenue targets and convert more customers. We've completed the fundamentals workbook, the system requirements. The system requirements are really making sure that you have your CRM in place so that you can track all your customer data, set up your email and SMS marketing solutions. And again, all this is built into TigerTek, so you're good with that if you're using it. And then just allowing you to store your information in one place. And one of the things to probably make sure you're tracking is opt-ins, or making sure people have a way to opt out, like unsubscribe, or if you're using my platform for text messaging, they can just reply stop and it'll automatically do it. And usually it'll include a unsubscribe link too. This is just for making sure that you're compliant. And now I want to just jump in, and again, I'm going to provide a little context for the Hermes solution here. Okay. We are going to create a long-term and again, I'm not being super specific when I do this. I'm just kind of pre-prompting him to let him know what's going on. Now, I'll just go ahead and hit yes on that. And if you notice, he's already kind of jumping ahead. He's preparing to say, okay, we want to do this. We want to convert these people in a long-term nurture. We need a few things. What's the goal? What are we trying to do? What's the end game of this? Booking appointments, building relationships. What would it be? What's the tone of voice that you're going to use? How are you going to communicate? Is it casual? Is it professional? I like to try to mix in humor because I think it makes it more engaging to read. So if you've got a specific person that you like the way they communicate, I would throw that in as my tone. Say, hey, I use like Ryan Reynolds a lot because he's sarcastic. I kind of enjoy reading that type of context. So I use that as a reference point, but I also use conversational. It just depends. But understanding what your tone is and how you like to communicate is important. What do you want your content to focus on? Do you want to spotlight your services, share success stories, educational stuff, a little bit of everything? And then the length and the frequency. How often are we going to communicate? Are we just using email? Are we using text messages too? Understanding all of that as we go into this process. And so I want to give him the background. So I want to give background on my avatar and my business. So to do that, I'm just going to grab the file. And this is one of the reasons I use the download. I make sure I download the stuff is because I want to make this as easy as possible. So I've got the ideal customer avatars. I just go ahead and pop that in there. And then I'm going to take the business fundamental stuff. Again, I'm not being super specific with what I'm telling him. I'm giving him as much information as I have so that we can start moving forward. Let's see. So he's going to go ahead and review that. And when he does that, he comes through and says, okay, he starts to segment the file into who your ideal customers are. This is really important as we start to move through and creating the campaigns and the emails, but it also just gives you a really good insight as to, all right, who are my customers? Based on what that file said, who are the people I'm really looking at? Upscale homeowners, growing families, empty nesters. Yeah, it's pretty, I would say that's a pretty good summary of who that ideal customer would be. So we've got three distinct audiences with unique needs. So the question is, do we want to create long-term campaigns and segment each one of these? My instinct initially is to say no. I want to simplify it as much as I can. I want to create one long-term, and then if my list gets big enough or I see that there's benefit in segmenting, I would. But I want to say, okay, how do I simplify it so that it's more of a broader topic, but still covers all three of these segments? And this is exactly what he's asking. Segmenting can deliver more personal, but broader series will work well to simplify the process. And that's exactly what we want to do. So yeah, we are going to use a broader approach. And again, he's walking us through what he recommends for the process. So I recommend a 6-month campaign with biweekly emails. I think that's a great approach. Just through my experience, I do weekly for a lot of my stuff for email campaigns, but for you guys, biweekly is probably plenty. It gives you the ability to, have enough touch points, but not overwhelm. And if you wanted to do promotional emails in between there, you still can without it feeling like you're clogging up somebody's inbox. And if you're going to do text message blast every once in a while, it'll fit well within that as well. So he even goes through and starts the outline of the campaign. So 6-month nurture campaign, the goal of it to build trust, showcase our expertise, inspire homeowners to book a consultation. The tone, friendly, personal, approachable. I think that's good. Focus on craftsmanship. Yep, love it. And then CTA, schedule your free design consultation. So far from the information that I've fed it, he's really got this pretty well nailed. And it may be different for you guys. For junk removal and cleaning, you may have a different process, but the overall flow is the same. It's just the call to actions are going to be different based on the type of business that you're running. And he's going to pick up on that as he's building this out. And if there's something that doesn't match, like if you wanted to change the call to action, you say your call to action was going to be, I don't know, it's just, I want to change the call to action to get a free upgrade, whatever that is. He's going to take that into consideration and then he'll update the copy based on that. And it's super fast, and there it goes. Claim your free upgrade, limited time offer. And what he's done is he's provided, hey, here's your outline of what this is going to look like. This isn't the detail, this is the outline. And I have fed him with a bunch of really, really high converting headline topics or headline formats. So the subject lines for the emails are going to be good. These are, transformer kitchen and bath, the royal way plus a free upgrade, boost your home's value and get a free upgrade, worried about remodeling, get a stress-free experience and a free upgrade. And again, these are all going to be focused around your type of business and your offer. So the more clear you are with the type of offer that you're going to provide and what you really do, the better these are going to get and the more personal they'll be. But if you're building them out and you happen to not like one of the subject lines, you can just change it at that time. So you're not stuck to any of this stuff. This is just getting the ball rolling so that you can get started, get something implemented, and then you can always go back and refine it and refresh it. Because honestly, as far as the subject line goes, if you think about it from somebody looking at their phone, these are too long. These are probably great first lines or header lines in your email, but as far as a subject line on your phone, they're going to be too long. So when I go through and actually do the email build outs one at a time, I'm going to say, hey, keep the subject line down to 34 characters. And that's going to give it better instructions. It'll take the similar topic, cut the headline or cut the subject line down shorter, and then you can include that in the body of your email. Does that make sense? Cool. All right, so now we've got a really solid, and honestly, he's already gone out to 23 weeks. So, I mean, I've talked more than this thing has actually had to work, and he's got this really well laid out.
Would you use them? Would you use this too to write the email copy as well?
Yep, that's the next step. So once I think I'm pretty good with this, my next step in the checklist is going to be to write copy. Now, when I write copy, I would not just say, go for it and write me the next, 10 emails. I do one email at a time because I feel like I get better results and the emails tend to flow better. Because if you think about it, each one of these is going to go out every 2 weeks from that user's perspective. So they don't need to connect. They don't need to be, they don't need to tell a story. Each one is going to be an independent message from you to that client. And I want to make sure that each one of them is quality. Because sometimes the AI produces stuff that's better than others. You'll go through and you'll knock one out and you're like, that's crap. I would not send that. And you're like, nope, redo it and do it again. Or there may be a couple lines in there that don't really kind of fit your style. Or maybe you have a story or a testimonial that you want to use kind of a before and after for a particular message. And that's when you'd go in there and say, hey, I want you to use this testimonial to write this next email. So there's a lot of flexibility to help you do it, but doing it one at a time, I feel gives me the best results. So let's just go ahead and try writing the first one. And I'm going to tell it now to shorten the subject line. And you'll notice I'm not heavily prompting this. I've got a really robust prompt in the guide that I'm going to send you, but I'm not going to over prompt it because I want to see what it's going to produce based on the information that it's already got, and then kind of go into changing it, making updates along the way. And that I do that because I'm pretty comfortable with this. I use this every single day, and the more comfortable you get, the more you're going to understand that it's not so much prompt driven as it is get a feel for what it can do, what kind of input or what kind of content is it providing, and then if it's just shit, tell it, hey, this is crap. I don't, let's start over again. I don't want to use that one. And you'll notice that it's not writing these long, epic emails. It's writing very short, concise messages. And it's up to you as to how you want to do it. If you wanted to do these as your nurture and then also do like a monthly newsletter, you could do that too. And you can absolutely use the same process to write a newsletter that has, you know, tips for whatever it is that you're specializing in, you know, some type of a guide or some type of additional information. You could make it a little bit longer, or you could make it like a blog post type, and you could have an article that you could actually use for social media or something along those lines. So there's lots of flexibility here, but it's going to keep it pretty tight unless you go in and say, I want to expand on something. So let's just go ahead and read this one. This is Transform Your Home. Ready to love your kitchen and bath again? At Royal Remodeling, we specialize in turning outdated spaces into stunning, functional areas without stress. Plus, for a limited time, you get a free upgrade when you book your remodel. Imagine sleek countertops, custom cabinets, elegant finishes, all expertly crafted and fit your style and needs. Don't wait. Let's bring your dream space to life. It's pretty good. I mean, as far as just a reach out, touching it, it tells the story of where they are, kind of what the problems they're running into, and then what the future could look like if they were to make a change and try to pull the trigger. Now,
And I'm sorry. I mean, you're flowing. Tony. I just wanted before you say so much before you jump in. And that is a short, concise email. Is that because what we're seeing now with email marketing is that people's attention span has waned so much that that's pretty much what it is?
I think it totally depends on what your goal of the email is, because this is nurture. This is not, you know, it's not necessarily storytelling so much. It's more of just kind of reminding them that you're there and what the possibilities are. If you want to do, because I think that the nurture campaign separated from a promo campaign. Because a promotional campaign, if you're going to do like a 2-week blitz promo campaign where you're going to send out emails every 2 or 3 days for a special or something that you're running, you would want to have probably a little bit lengthier message, or you'd want to tie it back to a YouTube video or tie it back to some additional content, or maybe a story that you're telling about a particular project and how it went. And those would be a little bit longer. The nurture campaigns in this format are designed to really just remind them that you're there.
Okay.
But like if you wanted to, and let's do it on the next one. But the first thing I want to do when I look at an email is I want to look at formatting, because I'm trying to picture this from my perspective and from the people that are receiving it. How are they going to read it? If most people, if they see a big block of text, they skip it. They don't even read it. So the next thing I want to do is I want to talk about formatting. So let's update the formatting and add a return after each sentence. It doesn't change the content any, but it makes it so that it's easier to read and digest. And it's super simple. And the more you do this, you're like, okay, I just build this into my prompt. Now I say, okay, I want it to be formatted with a return after every sentence. And I also will, if I have a particular style that I'm writing in, I will make sure that it knows that going into it. But if you look at it, and if you think about it from the reader's perspective, this is a much easier flow. They're not overwhelmed by any type of, long paragraphs or anything, even though the message isn't very long. It's just easier to digest. And did you see how easy it was to do that? So this, to be honest, I could just say, all right, this is good. I'll roll with that. And I would copy and paste it right into the platform. And this email 1 is ready to go. So I do let it know that I like that format because it will remember what formatting you like and how you want it to be structured when it starts continuing on. So the more you interact with this, it will update the memory, and it's going to remember the styles that you like. It's going to remember the type of content that you like to write. It'll start to remember more about your business the more often you use it. So it does get better over time as it learns who you are. Now you can tell already that it remembered the formatting because now there's a return after every sentence. Nothing, I didn't have to go in and tell it to do anything different. It just automatically went in and put it in. And then this one boosts the value of your home. If you think about who the avatars were, this is probably tied to the avatar that is a real estate agent or somebody who's in real estate looking to sell their home. Because this is directly to that, boost the value of their home, or somebody that potentially is thinking about, hey, maybe do I want to sell it? What's the value? Those types of things. So did you know a kitchen or bath remodel is one of the best ways to increase your home's value? That's a really good opening line. I mean, that right there. So you're going to boost the value. And the first thing that it says is a hook to make sure that you keep reading. Because when you think through marketing of any kind and email specifically, you have to get them to open the email. If they don't open the email, the content doesn't matter. So boost your home value, get a free upgrade, pretty decent subject line. It's worth testing to find out, what your open rates are. And then the first line has to make them read the next line. Because if the first line sucks, they're not going to continue on. So this is a really good first line. And it goes on and it continues all the way through. Again, I think this is putting out really decent stuff. Don't miss this chance to invest in your home. One thing I would also add, I want to include a PS statement on every email. So what do people read? They read the first and then they skip to the bottom. So you want the PS statement in there, and I'm going to just see what it puts together. But a lot of the times I'll go in and tie the PS statement back to something in the email or something that we want them to do. So PS, this free upgrade is only available for a limited time. Schedule your remodel today to lock it in. Sense of urgency without being pushy. It's decent. I mean, I don't have any real issues with the way this is put together. But I want to do something different. Let's say I want to punch up the copy a little bit. I want to make it more engaging. I just want to, add a little something to the copy. So this is good, but let's punch up the copy to make it more engaging. Again, you don't have to. If you like the style and you like the way it's doing it, you don't have to do anything. But doing this helps to set the tone so that it knows how you like to talk and how you like to write. So want to boost your home value and fall in love with your space all over again. I mean, that's, again, just a simple ask. And, we're doing this in an email format, but think about it from your social media content, from your social posts, by, the kind of stuff that you're putting out now. Could I punch up the copy by doing that? Just by making a small request. And then again, this is painting the picture of where they are. And so one of the things that I see a lot from the contractors, from the trades field, is telling the story from our perspective as opposed to from the client the people that are actually in the home. And I saw a video yesterday that a guy that I'm connected with, he's a roofer, and he did a whole video, and he was super proud of it. But the whole video was about the type of shingles that he's installing. I'm like, none of your clients care about the type of shingles and the wind rating of your shingle. They don't know any of that. What they want is a roof that doesn't leak. They want a home that's going to be protected. They want something that's going to last when hail hits. Those are the things that they want to know. They don't care about, the water barrier and the number on the shingle. They don't care. So how do we paint the picture that they understand what the conversion is for them? And this 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 bot does a really good job of kind of pulling that information out. And part of that is because of the avatar information that we gave it before. That helps it so that it sets the stage. Now, picture this cooking in a sleek, modern kitchen with custom cabinets and a flawless countertop. Pretty good. And just thinking about it from your individual business, how much better and faster you're going to be able to write emails and follow up, because these could all be used as follow-up emails for one-offs too for your clients. And then it's got the PS statement. So I think this is really solid. So now I've got 2 emails, and I feel like it's on a really good plan moving forward. So I'm going to pause because I know I talk fast. And questions, what do you want me to do next? What do you want to see?
I mean, this looks good for me. So
Yeah, I would agree. It's kind of that's email campaigns are something we haven't really done. So I would I mean, this is all just kind of learning for me. It's
Yeah,
good.
100%. And it's for you, it's going to be really nailing that client avatar up front and figuring out who your ideal customers are, because it's going to be different for every business. And it's not just different for each business, it's different for the type of work that you do. And if you'll notice in here, it's not talking about price ever. It's pitching the value, and it's pitching the benefits to the client. And that's what we want to do. We don't want to talk about price as little as possible. Because as soon as you start talking price, you start talking to price sensitive people, and that's who you're going to start to attract.
Mm.
And none of us want to deal with price sensitive people. I want people that want the job done and are willing to potentially pay a little bit more because they know it's going to be done right. And that's so by speaking to those people in a language that they understand, you're more likely to get those. If your business, and so there's 2 commercials on TV right now that I think do a really good job for this. Have you guys seen the cheapo vacations commercial or the cheap Bahamas commercial, where it's essentially the name of the business is Cheap Vacation Bahamas, and it's 3 really young girls that are on a trip at the beach or in the Bahamas. So who is that talking to? It's talking to younger people that are price sensitive, that want to take a trip, but don't have the funds. And then you've got Viking Cruise. Viking Cruise talks to people that are 45, 50, 60 years old that have money to spend on a really extravagant cruise. They aren't talking about price. They're talking about the experience of what happens when you get there and how you're going to arrive in luxury and all of those things. And the more marketing you do, the more you're going to see this when you're watching TV, you're in social media, you're going to start seeing the angles that they're using and how you can use it in your marketing based on who it is that you're trying to attract. And you learn a lot by watching what the people that have big budgets are doing and what you can steal from them. And AI is a great tool for that, but utilize all the resources. Everything you see out there, what your competitors are doing online, what your competitors are doing on TV, use it. Find out what they're doing. You can use ChatGPT to research, hey, who are competitors in this space? And it'll go find their websites and actually do the research for you. So there's a ton of things that you can do to help if you kind of get stuck or you don't know where to go.
I have a question,
Mm-hmm.
Jody. Okay, so I'm running um, a promotion right now, and I'm offering
$250 off.
What do you think about that ad? What do you think?
So I think that you're talking price. And I know you don't want to attract price people. Because I mean, I know that based on the very first conversation that we had. And so I would say that you could, you can qualify for a discount, but I would much more focus on like what we've got here, where it's talking about painting the picture. What's the pain point of your client? What is it that they're running into that they need solved? And that's the story I would tell. I would much more go this way. And if if you want to kind of beat some ideas around and shoot me over ideas, I'm happy to help you with that.
Yeah, since I started it, I kind of think I might need to finish it since it's just going to last to the end of the month. But after listening to you, I realized maybe that's not the greatest thing I should have done.
Well, and you don't have to, just because you started it doesn't mean you can't adapt and change your approach now. I mean,
Okay.
you'll still honor it, but maybe it's you change your angle on the posts that you're making to see if you're getting better responses. Because I post, and you guys that are connected with me know I post 4 or 5 times a day. And I go through and I'll look at um, my results to say, okay, what posts got good reach, got good views, and had decent engagement. And I'll look at that and say, okay, which ones are kind of working and which ones do I need to force out there a little bit more by tagging other people to make sure that they're engaged. So there's lots of tips and tricks that you can use, but testing is the number one. Just posting. No, you're doing what, once a day? Is that how often you're posting?
Yes,
Yeah.
I know I need to do more. I'm just so busy.
You don't have to do anything. You just My goal for you would be once a day because I know it's something that you can do. You don't have to do anything. A lot of businesses will only post 3 days a week, which is fine. It's just the more you post, the more often people are potentially going to see you. That's all. And one other thing for you and I'm starting to do this more myself, is looking at the groups that I'm posting in individually to see which ones are actually engaging and stop posting in some of the groups that there's no engagement. Because there's a lot of groups that I connected to that all it is people selling stuff. There's no engagement in those groups at all. So there's no point in me doing that unless I can and I can somehow provide value to that group and they're actually like, oh, hey, somebody's actually providing value instead of trying to sell their stuff. And they may kind of jump on that, but different groups are definitely going to be more engaged than others. And it's kind of, again, looking at your professional dashboard in Facebook will help you to determine that. All right, I know we've hit about an hour. I've got, I think, 4 attachments that I will send to you guys, and they'll have all this stuff in here, everything that we covered. And one other thing before we go, these are all emails. You can use text message too. Dabbling in a text message once a month will not hurt. Just to touch base. If you're going to do promos, you can do promos that way too. But just a simple outreach and having Hermes help you write a simple outreach text message or DM, you can do that too. Don't be afraid to use multiple forms of communication. because text message is going to go right to their phone. They're going to see that, but email could potentially get buried, and they may not open it. So you want to use text, you just don't want to use it all the time, and you want to be mindful of the length of the message.
So Jody,
Yep.
you just said something interesting. So, because I'm setting up a nurture deal right now. Don't want to use text all the time. So let's say if you got, let's just say, okay. So let's say, for example, you were doing a 4-day promo to past customers trying to get some, to reactivate the list. Okay. And in that promo, in that time, you may send out in 4 days, you may send out 3 to 5 emails per se. And that instance, you would only send out maybe 2 text messages in that process.
Yeah, I would do. So my typical database reactivation campaign is 3 messages. I do the very first message is the pitch. It's the straight up offer. What it is that we've got is in as short of a wording as possible and as casual a conversation as possible. The second is a quick follow-up. Hey, did you want to take advantage of XYZ offer, whatever that offer was that I just sent them 2 days ago? And then the third one is typically just their name with a question mark, just so that you can reinforce that, hey, did you see it? Or the last one could be, hey, were you in? And surprisingly enough, that hey, when you're in generates a lot of replies because they may not have seen the first 2 messages and they don't want to miss out. So
what was the title of that last one?
Hey, are you in?
Oh, okay.
Just, and again, just super, super casual. Because my text messages, I want it to feel, for the most part, like it's coming from a friend. I don't want it to have a bunch of emojis. I don't want it to have, a bunch of long AI sounding content. I just want it to be, hey, brother, I know it's been a minute since we chatted. We're booking right now for our spring cleanups. If you're interested, shoot me over a message. And just something really, really simple and casual. And then I can follow up with, hey man, did you want to get scheduled? Or hey, have you had a chance to schedule yet? Even though I know they haven't scheduled, it's a way for them to reply.
And what I was saying is, are you sending those the same time you send the emails, or are you sending that at different times of the emails?
So I'll split them up. They don't have to be separated by a lot. I mean, it could be 20 minutes in between the email and the text message. Okay. But I'll typically do a DBR campaign over like 7 to 10 days. So it's, they may get a text message and then maybe a couple of days before they get the next one, and then a couple more days before they get the last text message. So that would typically be like 7 days right there of a campaign. And then you could sprinkle in the emails to reinforce and provide additional information, because you could provide a lot more detail in your email than you would in the text message. And you could also use that text message to say, hey, brother, I sent you over an email with some details on, on the message I sent you yesterday or whatever. Let me know if you have any questions. Yeah, now you're tying the 2 of them together, and now they know, hey, he sent me something in an email. I could look at that too. And you can provide your booking links. You can provide, if you're providing videos and stuff about the work that you've done and kind of that stuff, that'd be a great way to embed the links into your emails. Okay, anything else? We good?
I'm good myself. Thank you. Thank you, Jody.
Cool. These are fun. I love these.
Thank you, Jody.
Yeah, me too. Thank you, Jody.
Yeah.
I learn every time I talk to you. I learn something new. That's
good. That's why I do it. All right, y'all. So I'll get you over an email with those attachments in it. And if you have any questions, shoot them my way.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank
All right.
you.
All right.
Will do.
Bye,
Y'all
guys.
have a good day.
Have a good one.
Bye.